Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shai. This is Apostle Rakab back once again with the next video. The title I have for this video is Follow Yahweh Shai, the spirit of Yahweh Shai himself, and not the carnal mind of men. Okay? That'll be the title for this video. And I'm just going to read once again one scripture, one precept, and make my point. And that's that, and beyond. Anyways, man, see, the Apostle Paul back then, Yahweh Shai himself came to the Apostle Paul, right, and converted and recruited the Apostle Paul for this truth, right? He was recruited by Yahweh Shai himself. Came to him in the spirit on the road to Damascus, right? So when the Apostle Paul, he was a Pharisee, right? He was an agent for the Pharisees. And his job in particular was to hunt down the disciples of Yahweh Shai. And you know what? You got God, but the Lord, but it's funny, Paul was of the elect. The Apostle Paul was actually he was of the elect. You got guys that talk shit about the Apostle Paul. We got to question some of Paul's writings. The parts they like, they keep, but then the parts that they don't like, they omit for their own carnal reasons. Like if we get on guys about having long hair, then all of a sudden them particular guys, see this guy Paul, see he went off sometimes. But then maybe certain other things he said, well, that part was good with that. But Paul, so basically the Apostle Paul was a double-minded man. When the scripture even says it itself, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So certain things he said was okay, but certain other things he said was off. You see? But them type of guys, right? The type of person that Apostle Paul, when he was known as Saul, he was a Pharisee. He was an agent. He was like an enforcer for the Pharisees. But in Paul's mind, Saul, and Saul's mind, when he was Saul, deep inside, I mean, he was being vicious, but his viciousness was coming from the fact that he grew up. Well, I'm going to read the scripture. I'm in the book of Philippians 3:1, and I'm going to read that. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. I'm just going to read a few verses. The Apostle Paul, when he was persecuting Yahweh Shai church, in his mind, in his heart, he really thought he was being righteous because his mind wasn't awakened yet to the truth. But he was sincere. He was really sincere about what he was doing. He helped stone Stephen, which Stephen was one of the disciples of Yahweh Shai. Stephen was of the elect. He was a man of the Lord. Yeah, he died, but the scriptures say that the dead in Yahweh Shai shall rise first. So yes, there are brothers who are no longer on the earth. They're in the spirit world, or what you would say dead. There are men of the Lord who are dead right now, but they're really not dead. There's no such thing as death. They're in the spirit world, but guess what? Is it nothing for Yahweh Shai to raise those men up from the dead? I don't care how long they've been dead. All right, certain men are going to come back. They're going to be raised up in the same body that they died in. The Lord is going to rejuvenate that body from the elements and bring that spirit right back into that body whole when that time comes, when Yahweh Shai makes his return. That's right. See, you're going to see miracles. A lot of you guys that be talking shit and scoffing, you're going to eat your words, man. You're going to see certain saints of the Most High, even before Yahweh Shai come back. We don't know how the Lord going to do it. You might see King Marshall walking around here one day. You might see High Priest Yaquab walking around here one day. Shit, you might see High Priest Oliver Bivens. The Lord may raise up some of those men before the missiles come. Who knows? I'm not saying that's gospel, but it could happen. I'm just spiritually speculating. Then what you guys gonna say? You see? All right? When Yahweh Shai was crucified, they said the dead rose up from the tombs and went back into the cities that they were from. So the dead, back then the dead rose. Every time there was a great event happening, man, you know what I mean? So, man. Anyways, the Apostle Paul, when he was persecuting the church of Yahweh Shai, he thought he was doing the Lord's work. He thought he was doing the Most High's work. You see, so he was always sincere, even though what he was doing was wicked, but he wasn't aware that it was wicked. at that time when he was Saul, before he became known as Paul, the Apostle Paul. He really thought that the disciples were heretics, man, because he was raised up in the law with the Pharisees. You got to follow the law. You got to follow what the priests say. And he was sincere about that. He said, look, the law of Moses, we said, look, man, because he knew that the Most High, Saul knew that Moses was a man of the Lord and Aaron. So he's like, look, man, this is the legacy that was passed down from the prophet Moses and Aaron. And so that we're supposed to be following that. These are the scriptures, man. These guys are saying something which they really wasn't, but it was a spiritual thing. See, that's why Yahweh Shai said, not all men can receive this same, save they to whom it is given. That's the spirit of Yahweh Shai, man. You see? But you got guys like the guys like how Saul was. You got guys that's around today that's doing the same thing, but they're not really sincere. Saul was sincere. And then when Yahweh Shai confronted him on the road to Damascus, the man known as Saul died, and the Apostle Paul was born. The Lord opened his eyes, man, because he couldn't see it yet until Yahweh Shai opened his eyes. And then he became known as the Apostle Paul, and he became one of the greatest apostles of all times, one of the greatest. Okay, you see? But then the other guys that were persecuting the church, those guys are still around today. They're back here in the reincarnation today. And they're doing the same thing today. They scoffing. You got guys that's rolling up on GMS camps or even other camps, trying to intimidate guys, persecute, scoff. You see? Bear false witness. See? Because Ecclesiastes 1:9 say the thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what the Apostle Paul said about this, right? Because you got a lot of heretics, a lot of charlatans, a lot of false prophets out here. Some of these guys in these other Israelite groups, and they're not repenting. They just doubling down more. They doubling down. All right. This is Philippians 3:1. Finally, my brethren, this is the Apostle Paul writing to the Philippians, the church. Rejoice in the Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, to write the same things to you, to me indeed, is not grievous, but for you it is safe. That's right. Meaning the truth, right? The knowledge of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the gospel. Okay, it's safe. The gospel is what's going to save your soul. This is not a grievous thing, okay? We're not supposed to be grievous of the spirit or the words of Yahweh Shai, the scriptures, and to apply the scriptures. All right, now look, let's read on second. Beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of concision. Now you see that? See, man, the Apostle Paul, he used strong language talking about these dudes. That's why we talk about these wicked niggas. We call them different names. He called them dogs, evil workers, concision. Yeah, they bring confusion. They bring in false doctrines. And that's bringing in the spirit of confusion. Because what we teach in the congregation is the scriptures. We coming straight out the scriptures. We ain't making up our own thing. Even though y'all think we are. No, it's the scriptures. You guys are coming with your own shit. Case in point, saying that there's a hell, the hell doctrine. Saying that the Apostle Paul was going off. And all these other saying the MOTB is not the mark of the beast. That's going to cause men to lose their souls. That's bringing confusion, man. For we are the circumcision. That's right, the circumcision of the heart of Yahweh Shai. The ones of us that follow Yahweh Shai. When you accept the blood of Yahweh Shai, right, then you become circumcised of the heart, which worship the Most High in spirit and rejoice in Yahweh Shai, okay, and have no confidence in the flesh, carnality. Yep, that's right. Okay, now when you say you got to keep the law perfectly, right, these law guys, these guys are talking about, oh, the law, that's confidence in the flesh. Because you're saying that you don't need Yahweh Shai. You're going to keep the law, and the Most High Yahweh going to save you because you're keeping the law, right? No, man. There's no confidence because we are not able to keep the law. You can't keep the law. perfectly. None of us can. You want to know why? Because we still have not the heart of flesh yet. Like it says in Ezekiel, the Most High said, I'm going to take away the stony heart and give you the heart of flesh, man. All right? So talking about you're going to keep the law. Look, brothers, you got to keep them laws. Yeah, we do what we do what the Apostle Paul himself said. Do we then make void the law through faith? Lord forbid. We establish the law. Meaning, yes, we do keep the law to the best of our abilities. Okay? I'm not just going to go around talking about none of us. Well, fuck it, man. We ain't under the law right now, so fuck it. I'm just going to eat some shrimp. Shit, we ain't under the law. The Lord, Yahweh Shah forgave us. I'm just going to go ahead and go to Red Lobster and get that basket of the 21 basket shrimp with the fries. No, man. I'm still going to keep the law to the best way I can. Okay, but let's say on the Sabbath, I might have to work on the Sabbath. That's breaking the law. And what the scripture say, if you offend in one, you offend in all. So for brothers that got to work on the Sabbath, right? Them brothers ain't going to be saved. All right? No, because we under grace. But it says, ye shall rehearse the righteous acts. So yeah, we still supposed to try to keep the law the best way we can. Okay? You see what I'm saying? Come on, man. That's why you can't rejoice in the flesh or carnality or walking around thinking that your gun is going to save you, right? Though I might also have confidence in the flesh, if any other man thinketh that he have whereof he might trust in the flesh, I more. That's right. Now the Apostle Paul said if anybody could glory in the flesh, I could. That's what the Apostle Paul said. He could. Why? And I'm going to read it. I'm going to read why. The Apostle Paul is going to explain himself. Circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel. That's right. Remember, was it Romans the 9th chapter? The Apostle Paul told you he was of the tribe of Benjamin, of the nation of Israel. He knew his pedigree. He knew his father. He knew his grandfather, great-grand. He knew what line he came from exactly. And when an Israelite baby is born, all of us, I mean, I was circumcised, but I wasn't circumcised. Me, myself, Rakah Ya'ala, Apostle Rakah, I wasn't circumcised till I was like 5 years old because I grew up in captivity. I didn't grow up knowing I was an Israelite. My father didn't know he was an Israelite. My mother did. I mean, I knew my father. I knew my grandfather. Okay? But my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, they didn't know they were Israelites. You know, they thought they were Native Americans, Seminole Indians. Okay? So when I was born, my father didn't have me circumcised on the 8th day. My mother didn't know she was an Israelite. So my parents didn't know they were Israelites. But Tawadi Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, when I was 5 years old, the Spirit got on my parents to get me circumcised. Well, in actuality, I had to get circumcised because the doctor, the doctor told him that I was having problems urinating, and it was a damn Edomite doctor that told my mother, oh yeah, you know what? He has to get circumcised. He has to get circumcised. That's the problem. He needs to get circumcised. It was painful. I remember that shit, but hey, the water Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, the Lord put the Spirit on my mama to get it done. Because that way, many years later, when I came in the truth, I was already circumcised. We had certain brothers that had to get circumcised when they came in the truth. But even the Apostle Paul spoke about that. There's certain brothers, some of you brothers might not be circumcised. Now, hey, if through the Spirit of the Lord you can get it done, I'd say get it done. We rehearse the righteous acts, right? Do we then make void the law through faith? Lord forbid we establish the law. But the Apostle Paul went all into that. You can still be in the truth and be not circumcised. It's all spiritual. But the only thing is when we have our ceremonies and high holy days, you know, you can't go on the podium and you can't salute the Torah. Now, you want to be able to touch the Torah because you got to be circumcised, you know, physically to do that, to do certain things. See, but the Apostle Paul said, circumcised on the 8th day of the stock of Israel. So the Apostle Paul said, look, I was circumcised right when I was supposed to be circumcised. He grew up in the law of the tribe of Benjamin. Remember in Romans he said that? He knew in Hebrew of the Hebrews. as touching the law, a Pharisee. That's right. The Apostle Paul told I was a Pharisee. He was an enforcer for the Pharisees. So he was telling you, he said, look, man, I was super duper Israelite. I know my pedigree. I was circumcised when I was supposed to be. I kept the law perfectly. That's what he said. So if anybody could boast of the flesh of the law, being a super duper Israelite, it was the Apostle Paul himself. But he was opened up to the blood of Yahweh Shai, opened his eyes, man. Okay, concerning zeal, persecuting the church, touching the righteousness which is in the law, blameless, right? But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Yahweh Shai. I'll stop right there. That's what the Apostle Paul said. See that? So all that righteousness of the law, all the praise that he got from the Pharisees and the other Jews, this guy, he's an Israelite indeed. He's a Benjamite of the Pharisaical order, right? He worked for the Levites because the Pharisees, the real top high priests, were Levites because the law was in full effect at that time. Apostle Paul was a Benjamite, so he was a Pharisee in name because he, like I said, he was like an agent. He was an enforcer for the Levites to go hunt down any so-called enemies of the law or of the Pharisaical order. You understand? So he said, look, man, he counted all, but when Yahweh Shai came to him, all that, he gave up his position amongst the Pharisees and all that praise and money, because money, he was living good. The Pharisees were taking care of him. He was getting paid good, but he gave all that up to go and follow Yahweh Shai and teach the word and help build up the church and edify the church. You see? So all these guys talking all this carnal stuff, the law, they're walking around with their fancy garments and their palatial churches, okay, and they're telling you, look, no, you got to keep the law. You got to keep that, like IS, like what's that? No, not ISU. Well, them two, the IUIC, right? They've been saying that for years, Nate and these guys. Even these other guys, Sakari guys, the law, right? So, you know what, man? Follow the spirit of Yahweh Shai, not the carnal mind of men. That's how you're going to receive salvation, by being spiritual, by following the spirit and the gospel of Yahweh Shai, man. Being circumcised of the heart, okay? Now, like I said, physical circumcision, if you can get it done, yes, I would advise you to get it done. I would, okay? But I know, nigga, so you a hypocrite, nigga. But look, if there's brothers and you can't get it done, then don't worry about it. As long as you're circumcised in the heart, the Lord know your heart. You may have certain brothers that's going to be delivered, that's of the elect, that might not be physically circumcised, but in the heart they are. And as long as they follow the scriptures and do the work of the Lord, they may still be, if they are the elect, they're going to be saved. But yes, we do promote to keep the law. We try to keep the law the best we can. All right? We keep the Passover, we keep the Sabbath. Right? We don't commit adultery, we don't eat abominations. So we try to keep the law, because that we're in rehearsal, as the scriptures say, if you don't know the scriptures. But with that, I pray this video was edifying. I'm going to wrap it up. And I say shalom to the hopeful elect.